Forbidden Knowledge, Gods of the Bible, the Enuma Elish, War of the Gods. Throughout the Bible, there are many mentions of other gods who tempt and sway the children of Israel away from the God of Israel. In this continuing series, Gods of the Bible, we'll go over who these gods are, where these gods come from, and how these gods affect the Bible. Previously, we covered the first part of the Enuma Elish. We covered the dubious origins of Marduk, and how the Enuma Elish rewrote established mythology of the more ancient stories of Greater Mesopotamia. We discussed the primordial origin of the Babylonian creation myth. We covered how the new gods were born and grew. And we discussed how the new gods upset the primordial first gods with their lawlessness, and warrant for their death was issued. The Enuma Elish, War of the Gods. The Enuma Elish is the epic creation myth of Babylon and the origin of the Babylonian god Marduk. Marduk is the Babylonian king of the earth and the head god in the Babylonian pantheon. Marduk plays an important role in the Bible since it was the god Marduk that the Babylonian Empire believed in when they sacked the Temple of Solomon and led the ancient Jewish people into Babylonian captivity. The Enuma Elish was likely written in the 9th century BC, which is also the time that Marduk replaced Enlil as the greater Mesopotamian king of the earth. As the king of the earth, the Enuma Elish departs from the much older and more established ancient Mesopotamian mythology and rewrites the origin of the greater Mesopotamian creation myth. The ascension of Marduk is likely attributed to the actions of King Nebuchadnezzar and the expansion of Babylonian hegemony. The Enuma Elish takes elements from the Mesopotamian creation stories and places them in an overarching story with Marduk as the final central character of the story. As stated in our previous video, in the beginning of Babylonian creation myth, there was only two great waters, which were the old god Apsu and the old goddess Tiamat. When the two great waters mixed, they birthed the new gods. From the new gods, several gods of note were born, raised and grew from infancy. These gods are Anu, Enki, and Nudmund. Nudmund was the son of the new god Anu, and was the strongest, most wise, and could compete with both the old and new gods. Nudmund and his companions reveled in lawlessness and disrupted the sleep of the old gods, day and night. The old god, Apsu, along with his vizier, Mummu, met Tiamat, and against Tiamat's protests, Apsu declared a death warrant of the new gods. With a warrant of death to the new gods, Tiamat warned her firstborn, Enki, known as E, that Apsu planned to kill the new gods. With Tiamat's warning to Enki, this ends the first part of the Enuma Elish. The second major section of the Enuma Elish can be broken down with the War of the Gods. The War of the Gods begin with Enki learning of the death warrant of the new gods declared by the primordial great god Apsu. When Enki learned of the death sentence of the new gods from Tiamat, Enki revealed the evil plot to the other new gods, and they were terrified. The gods heard it and were frantic. They were overcome with silence and sat quietly. Enki, also referred to as E, who was known for being wise and skilled, quickly went into action and came up with a plan to defeat Apsu. E went to the great water that was Apsu and drugged the water to cause Apsu to fall into a great sleep. He split Apsu's sinews, ripped off his crown, carried away his aura, and put it upon himself. He bound Apsu and killed him. Mummu he confined and handled roughly. He made his dwelling upon Apsu and laid hold of Mummu, keeping the nose rope in his hand. After E had bound and slain his enemies, he had achieved victory over his foes. Enki killed Apsu, the primordial god that existed before the new gods, and used his corpse as his dwelling place. And from that dwelling place he purged his enemies and fathered Bel, otherwise known as Marduk. Marduk was born as a newborn, but his appearance was masculine and strong. His grandfather Anu proclaimed him perfect. With the death of Apsu, Tiamat was enraged. She had warned Enki about Apsu's plan to prevent the deaths of the new gods. But Enki had taken that information and not only killed her consort and only other primordial old god, but also used his corpse as his dwelling. Anu created the four winds, set them upon Tiamat that stopped neither day nor night. Tiamat was confounded day and night. The gods took no rest. The gods in their mind plotted evil and addressed their mother Tiamat. When Apsu, your spouse, was killed, you did not go at his side, but sat quietly. The four dreadful winds have been fashioned to throw you into confusion, and we cannot sleep. You gave no thought to Apsu, your spouse, nor to Mumu, who was a prisoner. Now you sit alone. Make battle, avenge them. With the support and influence of a large host of new gods, Tiamat began to prepare for war with the new gods that had killed her consort. Tiamat heard, the speech pleased her. She said, "Let us make demons, as you have advised." They took the side of Tiamat, fiercely plotting, unrestingly by night and day, lusting for battle, raging, storming. They set up a host to bring about conflict. Mother Hubbard, who formed everything, crafted wicked weapons for the gods and gave birth to monstrous giant serpents. The serpents had sharp teeth and had poison for blood. The serpents were given god aura of the gods to make them godlike. She then created the Hydra, the dragon, the hairy hero, the great demon, the savage dog, and the scorpion man. She created fierce demons, the fish man and the bull man. She armed the demons, prepared them for battle. She made a total of 11 monstrous demons. She then armed her supporters among the new gods, and exalted Quingu as leader of the army and director of the great host. With Quingu set as Tiamat's champion, she placed Quingu on the throne, set him over the new gods, and fashions the tablet of destiny on his chest to give anuship over the new gods. Enki, from his wisdom, learned of Tiamat's war. He lapsed into silence, his chamber, and sat motionless. After he reflected, his anger had subsided. He directed steps to Ansar, his father. Enki told Ansar, "My father, Tiamat, our mother, has conceived a hatred for us. She has established a host in her savage fury. All the gods have turned to her. Even those you begat also take her side." When Enki told Ansar, Ansar cried out in fury and demanded that Enki fight Tiamat due to him being responsible for killing Apsu. Enki went to fight Tiamat but could not get near her due to her immense power. Ansar then cried to Anu, his son, and demanded that he fight Tiamat. But like Enki, Anu could not face Tiamat and gave up before the fight could even begin. With Enki and Anu defeated before they even put up a fight, the new gods formed a secret council to find a champion. From the council, Marduk was favored and declared that he would defeat Tiamat. Marduk was given the storm chariot, access to the 7 winds, the power of lightning, a great bow, and a strong net. Prepared for war, Marduk was given anuship, cloaked in a tunic of mail, an aura of terror. Marduk went to confront Tiamat. As Marduk approached Tiamat, Tiamat chanted spells to defeat Marduk. Marduk lifted his great weapon, Stormflood, and charged Tiamat. Riding his chariot, Marduk cast his net upon Tiamat, and then cast the 7 evil winds to push her down. He loosed his great arrow into Tiamat's belly, and split her in half. He then bound her and killed Tiamat. The army of Tiamat, seeing her slain, retreated. However, they had been surrounded and were defeated. The 11 demons were bound and trampled beneath Marduk's feet, and Quingu was bound and the tablet of destiny taken from him. With the defeat of Tiamat's forces, Marduk brought victory to Anzar and ended the war between the new gods and the forces of chaos, ending the second major part of the Enuma Elish. The Enuma Elish tells the story of how Marduk became a great god and how Marduk defeated the forces of chaos and brought victory to the new gods. However, those who have watched the primordial origin written in the Enuma Elish and compare it to what is written in the War of the Gods, there are inconsistencies. In the primordial origins, Enki, or A, is the firstborn of Tiamat. Yet in the War of the Gods, Enki is the son of Anu, who is the son of Anzar, who is the son of Apsu and Tiamat. However, at some point, Anzar is now Enki's father, which contradicts the previous tablets of the Enuma Elish. This internal inconsistency makes more sense when looking at the greater and older Mesopotamian mythology, which Enki is the firstborn of Anu. It is clear that Enuma Elish is having a difficult time trying to reconcile two opposing stories and deciding to simply add both. There is also the issue with Anuship. With the War of the Gods, Anuship is bestowed upon Kingu by Tiamat to be king of the gods, while Anzar, the father of Anu, gives Anuship to Marduk. In the original Mesopotamian mythology, Anu is the king of the heavens, with his son Enlil as the king of the earth. It is clear that the ancient Babylonians understood the concept of Anu and Anuship, but did not actually give Anu kingship of heaven, despite using his title to represent kingship. Therefore, it makes very little sense that a title is bestowed upon Marduk that has nothing to do with Anu in the Enuma Elish. There is also the issue that most of the things that Marduk does is originally done by Enlil and Enki, and Marduk simply replaced Enlil entirely and attributed many of the actions of Enki as his own by simply making Marduk the best in everything, at the expense of the other gods, who side with Tiamat or run away from Tiamat before even beginning the fight. Through the Enuma Elish, we learn a number of different aspects of the Babylonian gods. The first aspect we learn is that they are mortal, they are born, and they die like other persons. We also learn that when they are born, they are infants that slowly grow into adulthood. If we compare this to the God of Israel, there is no comparison. The God of Israel was not born, therefore he cannot die. Compared to Marduk, he was born and he will eventually die. The God of Israel is supreme outright. Marduk had to receive Anuship in a roundabout way that does not make any real canonical sense. The gods run away in fear to the threat of the forces of chaos led by Tiamat. The God of Israel has no equal, and the forces of chaos fear the God of Israel. When comparing the Enuma Elish with the Bible and comparing the original Mesopotamian myths, it is no wonder why the Enuma Elish is internally inconsistent. The Enuma Elish struggles with the stories of the past and has trouble trying to elevate a local and insignificant god, Marduk, into something he has never traditionally been. Did Tiamat create the demons with the forces of chaos? Did the forces of chaos exist alongside the primordial gods? Does Marduk still exist today? If a god is born, grows, and dies, can they be considered a god at all? Let me know in the comment section below, and for more Supernatural History TV, like and subscribe.